I'm gonna show you how to make the best homemade onion rings that are so crispy and delicious. Let's get into it. To start off, we're gonna prep the onion. This is a yellow onion. I really enjoy using a yellow onion. The flavor is great. The texture is very nice. So basically just cut the ends.
Learn from my mistake right here. I'm so used to cutting into it to remove the skin, but when you do this, especially with an onion ring, it's gonna be an onion strip. Now you know.
When it comes to onion ring, the size of the onion, it's totally preference. I prefer thicker, especially like when you're using it for like a sandwich or burger. You kind of want that ring to stand out and not fall apart. So about yay, it's about like 1/2 inch. Cuts right there. So yeah, just go through, take them all apart. Ooh, eyes are burning. So yeah, once we got our rings, just throw them in a bowl. We got our onions in the bowl. We're gonna be using buttermilk. I love to soak the onions in buttermilk. I feel like it takes some of that intense onion flavor away. But what it also does is soften the onion a little bit. And I find that the batter and breading will hold better once it comes out of the buttermilk. Instead of going right from the onion to like batter, since there's like no surface retention. And flavor. I think the buttermilk gives it some lovely flavor. So throw that all in, like so. Let's season up our onions. At this stage, since they're just soaking, I didn't really get scientific with it. So nice, probably like teaspoon of salt in there. And just think about this as basically just marinating. Nice sprinkle, pepper, hit it with some garlic powder, and some smoked paprika. A little spanky spank. And kind of just mix that up. So you can already see that buttermilk is changing color. Let these soak for like a few hours. Now you'll see when we take them out, they're gonna be a little softer. And then when we go to do like the flour dredge and panko, it's gonna adhere very nicely.
Now that these have been soaking for a few hours, time to drain out. So I have a strainer, but I have a bowl underneath because we're gonna wanna catch that buttermilk because we're gonna be using it later on.
So once you drain the onions, it's important to save that buttermilk. So essentially we're gonna be going dry to wet to dry. So I like to crack in an egg and give that a nice whisk. And for this portion, since we already seasoned it, we don't have to season it anymore. Here we got some panko. This will be the last layer. So that's how you get that nice crunchy coating on the outside. I'm gonna start with about 2 cups. And as we're doing the onions, if we need more, we can just add more. Then we're gonna do a flour layer. I like to use cassava flour, it just lightens it up a little bit. We're gonna do about 1 cup. So this flour mixture we will season, pretty similarly to how we did the buttermilk. So get some pepper in there, just probably about like 1/2 teaspoon. Garlic powder, about 1 teaspoon. Smoked paprika. We'll go about 1/2 teaspoon. Nice pinch of salt, and then just mix that up. Now every component is seasoned, so that's how you're gonna get a really flavorful onion ring. So I like to set it up like so. We got our onions, go right into the flour, buttermilk soak into the panko. Now I like to just get a wire rack, line them up, and then we'll head to the fryer. Big time pro tip, if you get some gloves, it's gonna stick way less, like the flour and then the batter. Usually when you're doing it, you get the finger coatings and it rubs off on the food too. So I like to use the glove. But you can see when you soak with buttermilk how it all clings together. If that was just the raw onion, barely anything would cling. So shake off excess. And even with the gloves, I still like to do a dry and wet hand. buttermilk into the panko. And you see by throwing it on top like that, first, it's gonna coat, so it's not really gonna get stuck to your fingers. Look at that. So yeah, just go through, get everything coated, and we'll fry them up. Look how beautiful those are. You can see the panko is clinging on nicely. Now we're gonna fry away.
Time to fry, we're gonna be using avocado oil. I really like avocado oil because it has a high smoke point. We're gonna be using 3 cups of oil. With onion rings, it's important that you have some good surface area in the oil so that all sides are gonna be getting nicely browned. So throw that in. I'm using a Dutch oven here. I like that because it has higher sides, so it's gonna capture a lot of the oil, so it's not splishing and splashing everywhere. And it's important that the oil is, you start it at 365 to like 370, because as you add the onion rings, the temperature is gonna drop a little bit. We wanna hover around like that 350-ish to like 360. And then the trick here is, since it's panko covered on the outside, it's actually gonna cook pretty quick. So I like to kind of like throw them in and then agitate, meaning like kind of just move them around a little bit, turn them often, then that way it's gonna get evenly browned on all sides. And then you can see here, it's just a nice bubbling going on. That's what we wanna see. They're already like starting to get a little brown. But since we're not cooking meat here, so it's basically based off of the color. Once they get nice and golden brown, that's the time to remove. So it's really like a minute on each side pretty much. They're gonna cook pretty quick. So once they get, look at this guy, nice and brown, take them out and then put them on that tray. What's nice with that wire rack, a lot of that excess oil is gonna drip down so that it's gonna stay nice and crispy. You know, if you're just throwing these on like a plate, it's gonna be sitting in its oil, and then sometimes they're gonna lose some of their crispiness. So remove those. And the other pro tip is, immediately when they're out of the oil, you're gonna wanna salt right away. This way, since there still has some of that oil on there, it's gonna soak in that salt, and it's gonna be super tasty. Last pro tip, you wanna work in batches here. Don't overcrowd the pot. What that's gonna do, they're just basically gonna steam and get soggy. So work in batches, it takes pretty quick anyways. Go through, fry them all up, season, and then shove those bad boys in your mouth. Hope you enjoy.